Assalamu alaikum and good day. My name is Faris Ismail and I am presenting my thesis project, KLG Campus Hostel Management System or KHMS. My supervisor is Dr. Muhammad Khatib. So let's start with the presentation overview. You have the introduction, literature review, system development methodology, requirements analysis and design, implementation and testing, and conclusion. So first of all, let's start with the introduction. We'll start with the problem background. Now, university students are learning about the latest technology, but unfortunately their living situation is outdated and does not reflect what is being taught in the university. They still have to fill out manual forms for many tasks, including checking in, checking out, filing complaints, booking facilities, and paying for services. Even reserving a time slot for facilities such as futsal, gym, or the other facilities provided by KLG requires contacting the staff via WhatsApp and waiting for their response. Now, the problem statement for the managers and staff at KLG, they have too many paper applications to process since there's many students. The paper forms can be easily lost. The maintenance and complaint forms might take a while to be addressed. And they also have to deal with illegible handwriting in forms. And we have inefficient management of the hostel. Now, for the student, they have the long queue times at the management office, especially during the beginning of the academic semester. The manual form filling can be tedious and very prone to mistakes. It's approximately around 3 pages. And the unknown room availability status is the long processing times. And international students specifically, they can feel overwhelmed worrying about the accommodation before leaving the country, since they have to deal with the visa and the flight and many other factors. And finally, booking hostel facilities such as the futsal field, gym, can be a hassle due to unknown time slot availability, as discussed earlier. Now, the project aim is to digitalize the existing paper-based processes and develop an Android mobile application using Flutter framework to be used by UTM students and hostel staff at KLG campus. The objectives are to identify and analyze the issues that UTM students and KLG staff face in day-to-day activities, to design and develop a mobile application that address the problems mentioned before. Finally, to conduct user testing to assess the effectiveness of the developed solution. The scope of this project is to digitalize the existing paper-based system, and it is targeting UTM students and staff that are currently staying at KLG campus to create a mobile application that runs on Android, which is developed using Dart and Flutter, and as well as use Firebase as the database and the backend, to integrate a payment API to facilitate payments, and finally to develop a dashboard overview for the staff and manager to outline the relevant information about KLG campus and its tenants. Now let's take a look at the literature review, and we'll start by looking at the current system analysis. So currently there are 4 main functionalities. The first one is the check-in process. So the student first have to walk into the management office to fill out the paper form with personal details and provide a photocopy of their passport or their My card, their UTM Matric card, and also to pay in cash the deposit and the first month rent, then finally receive the room key and access card. Now for the checkout process, almost similar. They have to go to the management office to fill out the checkout form and have to wait for the room inspection by the supervisor, which the student will be informed via WhatsApp, and finally the deposit refund. Now there's the booking facilities. In booking facilities, the student first has to pay a monthly fee of 50 ringgit, and they have to fill out a form at the management office. And for booking facilities such as futsal court or the other indoor games, they have to contact the front desk staff via WhatsApp and check for availability. And finally, the filing complaints, they have to again fill out a paper form at the management office and wait for the maintenance team to investigate and resolve the issue, which can take anywhere from 1 day for small issues and up to 14 days for major issues. Now, all of these factors lead to inefficiency and time wasted for both the student and the staff at KLG. Now, a comparison between systems, we have the existing KLG campus tenant management system, which is mostly paper-based and currently also use Excel, and a third-party software. They have the door loop property. There is the door loop property management software, which is a application for property management more than it is for hostels. And finally, we have the proposed KLG campus hostel management system, which is the project that I am developing. So we have all of these features. And for the existing system, you can see that it's not easy to use since it's mostly paper-based and heavily relies on manual input by the staff. After taking the details from the paper form, they have to transfer it to the system. It's not digital. It does not generate any type of report. You cannot check facility availability. There is no online payment. It only works on desktop, and it's a website and the Excel, of course. It's not used by tenants. It's just for the staff. And there is no maintenance or complaint management. And the pricing it's a paid service. Door loop is another system. As mentioned before, it's mostly used for property management. If you have apartments or other rental properties. So most of the features that are provided are not very suitable for a university hostel. And finally, the proposed KLG campus hostel management system, where all of the requirements are taken directly from the stakeholders. So it is very tailored to KLG. And the pricing is free according to the Firebase free pack or the starter pack, which should be sufficient for their use. Now let's look at the system development methodology. The methodology used is the waterfall agile, since most of the requirements and the design phases will be done using the waterfall method, which is to gather all the requirements and analyze them and to come up with the SRS and SDD. And finally, we go to after the waterfall, we go to the implementation phase, where there will be monthly sprints. So there is feedback, Scrum, design, build, deploy, and test. It's an iterative process. So building, testing, and testing. Finally, we have the verification and maintenance. The software tools used is the Flutter for the front end, which is the UI, the Firebase as the back end, GitHub for version control, Android emulator to test the code, Visual Studio Code, which is the IDE used to write the code, and finally Jira for the sprint management. The requirements analysis and design. So this is the use case diagram. I have around 12 use cases. The actors are the student in the management, and in the management there is the manager and staff, and here we have the maintenance. For the system architecture, which is as described earlier, using the Flutter as front end, and for the payment processing we use Stripe, and the backend is built using the system that's being used is Firebase, which provides authentication, cloud storage, the database, the cloud messaging or push notifications, and the Firebase performance monitoring. The architectural pattern used is MVC, simply because it creates a separation of concerns and makes coding easier. It does create many files, but since this is a relatively small project and the requirements are mostly known, and so it's very easy to plan early on and divide it in such a way that we have the model, controller, and view. We have the views for the student, the views for the staff, and the common view pages for both. Here is the class diagram. This is the models. We have the check-in application, announcement, staff, student, block, and the room in the blocks, complaint, checkout application, facilities, and here we have the Stripe API for the payment. Now here's the original prototype design that was made during PSM1. You have the student homepage, the check-in page, where the user has to enter all the information and upload the documents. And here the payment by Stripe. And here is the staff view, where we have the manage applications, all the options, check-in, check-out, complaint, facilities. Here is the check-in application details and the accommodation report, which is in the dashboard and report. And next we'll take a look at the system development and testing. So here is just an example of the code. This is the fetching check-in applications. So we'll take a stream, which is basically to constantly retrieve a list of check-in applications from the database and to map it with each student. So we can pull both the student information and the check-in information at the same time and combine them together, and then return a list of applications. So here is the interface that is developed for the student, or the student's view. So here we have the home page. You can see the check-in status, the run payment. It tells you how many days left until the next monthly payment, and the facility subscription, or it can be renewed, and the announcements that are made by the staff at KLG. Here is the profile page with all the information. Here's the complaints page. You can see the complaint submitted, the status is pending here. You can add a new complaint. Here is the page for facility booking. You click the date, the type, and time slot. And in this time slot dropdown, the user can see the available time slot, if it's taken or available to book. Here is the accommodation application page. In this case here, this is considered an edge case where a student submits a check-in application but has not paid yet. So there is logic to detect that, to handle that case. So in that case, the button here will continue with payment. If the student is opening the app for the first time, they will see two buttons, check-in and check-out. But since this student has already checked in and not paid, they will receive this message to continue with payment. So here is the user interface for the staff. You can see the manage applications, the check-in, check-out, manage facilities and bookings, and the complaints and maintenance requests. So here's a list of check-in application where you can search by name and filter by status, room type, sorting by newest, oldest, and to check whether they paid or not. So here are the applications here. You can see here, for example, the first one, Muhammad, applied on the 3rd of July. The room type is single, and it shows you the payment status and the current check-in application status here as well, approved, rejected, or pending. So here is the example of the check-in application details, which are the same details that are submitted when the student checks in. You can see all the documents and all the information here. Here is the complaints page. Again, they have the filter, and you can see the complaint details and a button to resolve or mark as unresolved. And here is the dashboard, which is an overview of the hostel. You can see here, you can select which block you want to see the information of, which floor, and you can check the details, like how many rooms are on the floor, how many are occupied, how many available single rooms, so that the staff can make better decisions to know about where most of the students are currently staying, or if somebody wants to inquire about the availability or availability in general of the rooms. So they can directly access the dashboard and see all of this information for each floor and for both blocks. There's some black box testing that has been conducted, which focuses on the input and the output without knowing the internal structure of the code. So we have some test cases here for testing the booking of time slot. You can see here the input data, the expected result, and the actual result. And this is the pass or fail by the stakeholder. Here we have the white box testing, which is testing the functionality of the methods or the functions in a class. We have the input, the expected output, and the control flow path. And here we also have the UAT testing, where the stakeholder has a UAT document with a list of use cases, steps, expected results, actual result, and the outcome of that UAT testing. Okay, next we have the system flow. So here we can see the entire system flow of the system from beginning to end, where the user starts with register, log in, check the user type, and there is a flow for each user type here. All of the functionalities or all of the options are listed in the system flow chart, just to check that the entire system is valid and verified, and also for end-to-end testing. So finally, we come to the conclusion. So the achievements. First of all, the check-in, check-out, facility booking, and complaint management has been digitalized, which eliminated the paper forms. And we introduced a user-friendly mobile app for students to easily submit applications, book facilities, file complaints. implemented a centralized app for the staff to manage applications, integrated a payment gateway, just Stripe, and conducted testing to ensure system functionality, reliability, and usability. There are some suggestions for future improvement. First of all is to integrate a chat or messaging system so both the staff and the students can directly communicate. Also to develop a web and iOS interface, also for both the staff and the student, and to integrate some artificial intelligence to add a more advanced reporting and analytics system, to explore integration with other campus systems such as UTM Smart and UTM Announcements, and some additional security measures such as two-factor authentication or biometrics. And that's all from me. Thank you.